Manchester United's role under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is continuing apace. Danny, is it all just down to the power of positivity?
I think it'd be too easy.
It's
too easy to say that. I think Solskjaer obviously is getting a whole lot of credit and fully deserved, but I think Mike Phelan needs that credit as well. He was there under Sir Alex Ferguson when they won everything. And I think what he's done is something that what you find from a manager's perspective is sometimes you have two types of managers. Managers that go into a football club and say, right, OK, this is the way I want to play. I don't care what players I've got, this is how I'm going to play. Or you have managers like Solskjaer who's gone in and said, right, OK, what suits this team best? Who do I want to build this team around? Who are my best players? Pogba? OK, well, let's give him a free role. Let's leave the likes of Herrera and Matic to sit deep, give him the free role. OK, well, what I want is a little bit more movement, dynamism through the middle. OK, I'm going to play Rashford. So the way he's got it now, he's getting his width from the full-backs, and it hasn't been rocket science. Simplicity is genius, and, we could sit here and say, OK, yeah, well, we would play 4-3-3 and things like that, but you've still got to get the players to go out there and do it. You've still got to get your message across, and everyone's talking about he's had this easy and he's had that easy. Went to Arsenal in the FA Cup one, went to Tottenham in the League One. So he's passing all these tests at the moment and he's doing a wonderful job. And whereas I think from Mourinho's perspective, it was more of a case of he didn't trust his defence, so therefore the rest of the team had to take a little bit of a hit and sit deeper. Solskjaer's looked at it, completely turned on its head and said, no, well, you know what, our best form of defence is to attack. And that's exactly what they've done, and they've been absolutely fantastic to watch.
You've always talked about the fact that Manchester United's big issue between sacking Mourinho and the end of the season was sorting out what went on behind the scenes. They're now starting to tie up, particularly their younger players, to longer-term contracts. Does that suggest, even when they don't know who's going to be the manager at the start of next season, does it suggest a bigger picture, a bigger view from the club?
Yeah, I think what you look at, if you look at the players that are being signed up, in the process of being signed up, any manager that comes in would want them. So I think it's a no-brainer. I think what you're doing is you're rewarding players. But let's not forget that players are seen as assets as well. So if you let their contract run down, all of a sudden they can go away for free, or they can go away from a minimal amount of money. So two things, I think they're players that you would sign anyway, because they will be huge players for whoever is the manager, whether it's Solskjaer or anybody else, and they're protecting themselves as well. But I think the interesting thing is going to be is that what happens come the end of the season. You look at Solskjaer, you look at Mike Phelan, the way they've gone about things, and it's been incredible. If it was just based on the results, I think everybody would say you give him the job now. I think the key factor behind it is that there's no doubt about it. I think United will spend a lot of money in the summer. I think whether it be 200 million, whatever it may be, it's who they trust to give that money to. I think that will be the deciding factor, as in terms of who is the next Manchester United manager on a full-time basis.
Kelly, I was just going to say about positivity. It's amazing that even with top players, if you remind top players of how good they are, how well they're playing, and even they feed off that. Sometimes I think there's probably a perception out there that battle-hardened seasoned pros don't need to have an arm around the shoulder and a pat on the back, get on with it and go and do it again and again and again. That's not true. And I think that you've seen that. Certainly, I know Mickey very well, Mickey Phelan. I played with him for a couple of years at Norwich, and everything's on an even keel with Mick. He's not going to go mad if they start with the run that they're having, and he won't go. He's not going to go in the other direction if all of a sudden things aren't quite so good. Ollie's got that upbeat kind of nature and attitude, and looks hungry for the job, wants the job. You can tell he really wants it. Sees this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And so he's doing the right... He's reminding players about where they are and who they're representing and what they've got to do and how they've got to do it, but also letting them express themselves and telling them how well they're playing. And it's amazing, all of a sudden, the difference you see in a player when a burden has been lifted and has been taken off their shoulders and they're able to go and play.
It's man management. It's plain and simple as that. I think that gone are the days where you had maybe two different characters. You have so many different players now, and it's up to you to get to know these players and treat each one individually. That's the way that things go, and however a manager chooses to do it. You look at the managers that, OK, for instance, top of the Premier League, Pochettino, Klopp, Guardiola. Man management skills look absolutely phenomenal, look incredible. The way they bring the best out of their players. OK, sometimes they will have a go at them, but they have a go at them at the right time when they've just played well. You know, any player can accept a little bit of criticism when they're at the top of their game. I think with Mourinho's perspective, he came out, his argument will be, well, did it to Luke Shaw and it worked all right there. But the problem is that football and players are very different now. There used to be a certain amount of players that were leaders on the pitch that could take the criticism. I think them days have gone now, and that's why I think what we're seeing now is the average age of a manager actually getting younger, because they need to be more in tune with a player than ever. I think a manager's job is harder than ever because the leader, the on-pitch managers are starting to fade out of the game. The amount of different characters in the game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So the idea is, like Andy said, the happier a player is at a football club, the more he's appreciated, the more he's made to feel 7, 8, 9 foot tall, the more you're going to get from on the pitch.
Ironically, when Jose appeared, he did that better than anybody.
Yes, he did.
When he first came, and was still able to do it, but the way that he was able to get players on side, playing for him, enjoying their football, telling them how amazing they are. You think of Frank and John Terry and all the boys at Chelsea, none of them have a bad word to say about him, and quite right, because he transformed their lives in many ways. He did. And for whatever reason, that's all in the past now with what went on at United. Ollie now has got an opportunity to do something similar, to take these United players onto the next level, and then he's got to step up. I personally wouldn't give him the job tomorrow. I know lots of people think he should, because what more has he got to do? I wouldn't do that. I think United have got the greatest chance to use this time, this period, to make it the most exhaustive interview ever, and check him out top to toe, top to bottom, see him through the good times, look, at the moment when he's ticking all the boxes, and then see when it doesn't go quite so well how he reacts. And he's going to get problems. Every manager gets them. He's going to be walking in one day and someone's got the hump, and he's got to deal with it. At the moment, he hasn't had to, but that will come at him because it does. And United have got a chance to see him through all of that. I think he'll get the job. I personally do that. I think in the summer they'll give it to him. But I don't think they should give it to him today. Let it just keep going. It's working. Just let it roll.
And the players it seems to be working for the best are, of course, the forward-minded players, because that is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's great strength, and that is the position that he played in. You listen to Jesse Lingard saying, at 17, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer told me to play with a smile on my face, and it's exactly what he says to me now. But do you see differences in his game as well?
I see a difference in all the forward-thinking players. Lingard, without question, being one of them. There seems to be a real sense of freedom than playing now, and this is what I go back to. So when you look at Mourinho's time here, obviously they conceded a lot of goals. That's not something you expect to see with Mourinho. But I do believe that whether it be Lingard, whether it be Martial, Sanchez, Rashford, Juan Mata, whoever was playing in that wider position, they were playing probably 10 or 15 yards deeper, because there was a certain situation where Mourinho didn't have a centre-back partnership that he could rely on, whether that be injury, whether that be suspension, whether it be centre-backs being too similar. He didn't have opposites. So therefore, to compensate for that, there was players playing deeper. I remember the game against Brighton, and I think it was Lukaku that played up front, away at Brighton, and he was about 30 yards away from the rest of his team, because of the fear of the defensive side of things, whereas Solskjaer's now saying, right, OK, what we're going to do, we're going to have our 2 centre-backs, we'll have our 2 defensive midfielders, our width is going to come from our full-backs, and my front 4 are going to be interchangeable. And some of the football that you watch them play now in that final third is breathtaking. The likes of Lingard, Martial, Rashford, Pogba, all linking up. You look at it and you think to yourself, wow, this is unbelievable football. And because they commit so many men forward, when they lose the ball, they're in a position to press straight away. So teams then find it more difficult to get at Manchester United's goal.
Is Rashford edging out Romelu Lukaku then?
Yeah, I think he is at the moment. I think he seems to work better for me up front than Lukaku. Lukaku, when you look at his record, his goal-scoring record, is very strong. It's very, very good. But I like the worry, the nuisance factor that Rashford brings, and his endeavour as a younger boy. I think it's great. The only thing that is still a question mark about Rashford is his ability to be ruthless, game in, game out, to lead the line for Manchester United, to get them back to where they want to be, which is really muscling in with Liverpool and City right now. Then they're going to need someone up there to get them some serious goals.
I think I think Rashford and Lukaku, very different centre forwards. We've seen the way that, I think it was a prime example at Leicester last week. 1 minute you had Sanchez on the left, Lingard on the right, Rashford in the middle. Then Rashford was on the right, Rashford was on the left. Solskjaer spoke about Martial and Rashford playing together. One can play centre forward, the other one can play on the left. Lukaku, a fantastic centre forward. That's what he is. You're not necessarily going to see him drifting in and swapping places with a Lingard or a Rashford. And I think that's what Solskjaer wants. He wants this interchangeable front three, how he wants to play at the moment, because as a defender, I don't know if Randy would say the same as a midfielder, there's nothing worse than when you're marking 3 or 4 different players in a game because of the interchange, and it's so difficult.